This series of 9 videos is about our vacation in 2017 to Yellowstone National Park. Part 6 takes place on September 18th and starts by bringing us back to the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. In Part 3, we covered the north rim of the canyon, except for the trail to the brink of the upper falls, which is where we started today. This is the Yellowstone River just before it flows over the upper falls. This is the view from the brink of the upper falls. In Part 3, we saw the falls from a distance and the path the river took to flow over the lower falls. This shows its route from another vantage point. The river makes a sharp left turn after flowing over the upper falls. Next, we visited the South Rim and Artist Point. Rebecca got to bond with more ravens, both in the parking lot and in the canyon. Then we were treated to my favorite view of the lower falls. The canyon seemed to be biggest at this point. And the whole scene seemed more like a painting than reality. This may or may not help you get a sense of the scale of the canyon. Even though the yellow of the canyon is what lended its name to the park, there was plenty of red as well. We left the canyon and headed north. Just before reaching Tower Junction, there was this massive overhanging cliff right by the road. It was kind of amazing, and the pictures do not do it justice. Just north of the overhanging cliff I got to check off one more species I had never seen in the wild from my life list: bighorn sheep. There were at least half a dozen right by the road. By the way, rangers will tell you to keep moving if you're in a car. A lot of them wanted to stop. But if you wanted to stop safely and legally, there just happened to be a parking lot right across from the sheep. As far as I could tell, none of the sheep we saw were males, which would have had much bigger horns than these. But it was still exciting. One of the girls looked like she had a few issues, with one horn missing and one kind of sideways. Distinguishing between a mountain goat and a female bighorn sheep like these, known as ewes, is more difficult than it is for a male bighorn sheep, known as a ram. Ewes like these have smaller, less curved horns more similar to mountain goats. But the goats have beards, whiter fuzzier coats, and blacker horns than female sheep do. Rams have huge curved horns, and it's hard to mistake them for goats. These ewes were at various levels scattered over the hillside. Just to the west of Tower Junction, one of the park's most prominent fossils is featured. The higher elevation still retains some snow from our second day in the park. Our next stop was Mammoth Hot Springs. This was a completely different kind of setting, and Part 7 will focus on this area exclusively. Just north of Mammoth was the Boiling River. This is the second of two areas in the park where swimming is allowed, and it is much warmer than the swimming hole in Firehole Canyon. Very hot water flows from this crack in the ground into the Gardner River. The river is too cold and the spring is too hot, but if you find the sweet spot where they mix, it is blissful. From Boiling River, we headed back east. We stopped at Undine Falls on our way to the Lamar Valley. Lamar Valley has been called the Serengeti of North America due to the vast amount of wildlife that can be found there. We weren't lucky enough to see very many different species, but the valley was riddled with bison. We drove as far east as Soda Butte in our quest to see a bear or a wolf, but we never did see one of either. We sure saw bison though. Our trip back went a little slower because the bison came out of the valley and onto the roads. Seeing them up close, I noticed a lot of variety in the coloring of their coats. Some were mostly brown, others were almost black with brown shoulders. This got us a little excited. Bison are the largest land mammals in North America, and when they get moving, it's pretty intimidating. And this was how we ended our day. Rush hour traffic in Yellowstone. Part 7 focuses on the Mammoth Hot Springs area that we skipped over in this video.